The sun doesn't shine every day. The storms will come. There are times when the nights will be long and dark and you will be alone. There will be times when the darkness seems to consume everything. But don't let it consume you.
That's anxiety. Stop. You're not where you think you are. Your map isn't producing the desired outcome. It's wrong. What should you do? You don't know. Stop. Because if you don't know where to go, there's no point going anywhere. And then what? Prepare. That's anxiety. Stop. Prepare. Well, people hate that because, well, for obvious reasons. Prepare. For what? Everything. Very, very demanding psychophysiologically. And that's also something that's really worth knowing. It's like anxiety isn't just a psychological state that's unpleasant. It's like you're revved up and you're burning resources like mad. And you're in a biochemical state such that's optimized for quick action, but that's toxic if you inhabit it for any length of time. So not knowing what to do, that is not good. And it isn't just that it makes you feel bad. It's you're running your machinery faster than you can replenish it.
For some reason, there is this facade that life should be full of happiness and without its suffering, which actually makes us suffer even more. Because when we get sad or something bad happens, we do not only feel bad about the thing itself, but we also feel bad because our life is not the way it is supposed to be. Not realizing suffering and sadness is just a part of life, and they're inevitable. Unless you learn your lesson, it will keep hurting. Not only it will never stop, it will also keep increasing the amount, so you won't get used to it.
And it doesn't matter how you get knocked down in life, because that's going to happen. All that matters is that you got to get up.
You have to get up.
Whatever experience you're having right now, it has not come to stay. It has come to pass. Sometimes you have to just back up and go within yourself and pray and meditate and recharge your batteries. Go away, clear your head, and then come back and look at it from a different vantage point. Don't operate while you are under the spell or the effect of what's going on. Don't allow your emotions to control you. We are emotional, but you want to begin to discipline your emotion. If you don't discipline and contain your emotions, they will use you. You don't have to force yourself or motivate yourself to think negatively, to be depressed, to beat yourself up over the head, to feel loaded with guilt. You don't have to make any effort to do that. Your mind is on automatic. It will do that by itself. But if you want to begin to move into your own personal greatness, you've got to be willing to go against the tide. You've got to be willing to harness your will and say, in spite of this, I'm in control here. I'm not going to let this get me down. I'm not going to let this destroy me. I'm coming back.
The same situation can either be perceived as a lead ball chained to your feet or as wings growing out of your shoulder blades. How you interpret the challenge is crucial to your success of overcoming it. Ultimately, it's never the challenges that matter, but how you perceive them. If you work at that which is before you, following right reason seriously, vigorously, calmly, without allowing anything else to distract you, but keeping your divine part pure, as if you should be bound to give it back immediately. If you hold to this, expecting nothing, fearing nothing, but satisfied with your present activity according to nature, and with heroic truth in every word and sound which you utter, you will live happy, and there is no one who is able to prevent this. We are all bound by this oath to bear the ills of mortal life and to submit with a good grace to what we cannot avoid. So the spirit must be trained to a realization and an acceptance of its lot. It must come to see that there is nothing fortune will shrink from. There's no ground for resentment in all this. We've entered into a world in which these are the terms life is lived on. If you're satisfied with that, submit to them. If you're not, get out, whatever way you please. The happy man, therefore, is he who can make a right judgment in all things. He is happy who, in his present circumstances, whatever they may be, is satisfied and on friendly terms with the conditions of his life. That man is happy, whose reason recommends to him the whole posture of his affairs.
How do you bear the suffering that is at the crux of life without becoming tempted and embittered. That's really, really difficult. Now, someone might point out, go ahead and be bitter, see where that gets you. And if you have any sense, and generally people have at least some, they know that being sick and bitter is worse than just being sick. And that being right, it's worse, but it's very hard temptation to avoid. Sometimes you want to be bitter just out of spite in some sense, because things are so terrible. All you've got left is your willingness to shake your fist, and say, well, really? Is this like this many poisonous snakes? Really? That's like, maybe I could have learned with just 1 or 2, not 100. So, but we're all stuck with that. And I think we're stuck with it at every level of our life in some senses. How do we maintain a high order moral orientation in spite of suffering and malevolence?
Do you think that the man has any thought of mending his ways who counts over his vices as if they were virtues? Therefore, as far as possible, prove yourself guilty, hunt up charges against yourself, play the part first of accuser, then of judge, last of intercessor. At times be harsh with yourself. Set yourself free for your own sake. Gather and save your time, which till lately has been forced from you or filched away, or has merely slipped from your hands. Make yourself believe the truth of my words, that certain moments are torn from us, that some are gently removed, and that others glide beyond our reach. The most disgraceful kind of loss, however, is that due to carelessness. Furthermore, if you will pay close heed to the problem, you will find that the largest portion of our life passes while we are doing ill, a goodly share while we are doing nothing, and the whole while we are doing that which is not to the purpose. What man can you show me who places any value on his time, who reckons the worth of each day, who understands that he is dying daily? For we are mistaken when we look forward to death. The major portion of death has already passed. Whatever years be behind us are in death's hands. We should not manifest surprise at any sort of condition into which we are born, and which should be lamented by no one, simply because it is equally ordained for all. Yes, I say equally ordained. For a man might have experienced even that which he has escaped. And an equal law consists not of that which all have experienced, but of that which is laid down for all. Be sure to prescribe for your mind this sense of equity. We should pay without complaint the tax of our mortality.
If you're looking for certainty, the reality of suffering is certain. I mean, what do you accept as evidence above all else? That's a good question. That's a hard question. But I would say pain is up there. It's very difficult not to believe in the reality of your own pain. It's somewhat easier not to believe in the reality of other people's pain. That's not so easy either, but your pain seems to be undeniably real. And so it does beg a question, which is, if pain is undeniably real, is that which overcomes pain even more real? And I think that's, in some sense, that's the idea that lurks behind the idea of the resurrection.